Here we are. I think we're live. Step 1. Yes, keep everyone in suspense. Maybe I have done that. Hello, welcome. This is my how to do a live stream from scratch series. Probably, hopefully, just one of these will cover everything, and there'll be no need to do a follow-up. Who am I? Firstly, I'm Tim. I've been doing these for about 2.5 years now. I set up I think I bought the equipment 2018 roughly. I think we did our I can actually show you. I've been doing these. I think my very first live stream was 2018 May, and that's when I bought a laptop just for it, and a whole bunch of other equipment, and I've been slowly adding to the equipment and redoing the streams over and over again, playing with OBS, playing with all the modules, and just really spending an unhealthy amount of time doing this. Good to see there's actually a few people already joining us in the chat. Will R, Mongoose, Cut and Lights, hello. Yeah, more viewers than my regular racing streams, so obviously some interest here. First thing first, I've got to change the title. Part 1. Introduction. So I've set up a really simple way of doing this for tonight. I've got, first thing I'll show you the equipment, but the first thing I'll do is show you the equipment, then we'll start talking about the timing software that we're using, and then we'll go into OBS, and then we'll do whatever you want after that. It might be you want to see the RF Explorer stuff, maybe you want to see how I do the pilot headshots, or something like that, or maybe you want to see my stream deck or something, I don't know. Yeah, so let's go with first things first, the equipment. So again, I'll show you what I've got set up here, just in terms of how I'm doing this stream. I've got okay. So this is my regular laptop that I stream from, and this is the club laptop. Pretty vanilla, but this is the one I'm going to be setting up for streaming, so I can toss this at the boys and say, here you go, I'm not coming racing. Running it without me. This is the mega ground station of many clear views, and then this is my box of mess. Alright, we're going to go through that. It's enough. Yes, it doesn't look pretty. Don't judge. So let's just change the title here. Part 2. I didn't want to make this too fancy. I just thought I'd just go with the flow. But just so that if you're watching it later, you can skip through the timeline and you can look at the title and you can work out where you're at in terms of what part you want to talk about. So first things first, the equipment. If you've got nothing, you probably should go with a timing system first. I think it's a pretty key piece of the equipment. Most people would be using one of these. Alright, this is the Immersion RC 8-way. Now, we power ours with power over Ethernet. Do I have that? And basically we run an Ethernet cable out to the field, and you could either run a battery, you can power with a battery on a 2.1, or we use power over an Ethernet, so that goes out to the 8-way. This is sitting somewhere in the ground station, in the pits area, and then that's, the Ethernet cable goes in either way there, so I've already got this wired up into the home network anyway for the purposes of this test, but you can power it from a battery, and it's probably better, because if you have a power outage, your laptop will continue, because that's where you've got a battery, but you'll lose power to your 8-way, so therefore the race becomes invalid because you've lost timing. I also have one too, Dave. I have one too. We bought two. But so sometimes it's better to use the battery, just from advice there. Other people use the Delta 5. That's pretty common, and I know most of the time that both the timing softwares we use for FPV races do support that. You can also use the Puck as well, which is a USB smaller version of that. But that's it's got to be the 8-way, really, if you're asking me. It is expensive. It's around $800. I've only seen one die once, but it came back to life, and that was the East Side's 8-way at Avalon after a solid direct hit. This one's actually pretty virginal, but even our club one has a nice scratch in it too. So it's made out of solid materials, but they still can be. They're put in the danger zone, so it's important that you protect them. So that's one thing there. The other thing that you've got to have, other than the obvious computer, is you've got to have some way of getting the video in to your computer, and you've got to have, at the very basicness, like an analog video receiver. This is one of the old classic Immersion RC Unos. So it only does Race Band and Fat Shark, does it? Oh no, it does the others, but we only use Race Band and Fat Shark channels these days anyway. So you need these. You need one of these for every person that you want to have video for. So at the bare minimum, you're probably going to have 4 of these. Yes, and the previous, I was showing off these bad boys. They're effectively just analog receivers as well, but they're ridiculously expensive, and because they've got like this is a dual antenna thing, so yeah, it does some voodoo with the pictures there. Now, what is the go with this one? Well, in the case of how you wire, here's a simpler version. I'll probably cut it back. So if I took the bare bones of what this is, so at one stage you've got to have the analog receivers, but then you've got to get them into the computer somehow. Well, you've got to get them out as a HDMI signal. Now this is achievable most commonly through a security camera DVR. Let me just see if I can put this. That's better. So, the idea of the security camera DVR. Now, this is what we actually started with. Not necessarily this whole setup. I think we actually bought the 4 clear views first, but we had this DVR effectively. Now I can just rip this stuff out. We bought one of these DVRs. Now, this has to be an analog one. It's pretty key. A lot of the guys in the US went for that night owl thing, but now they're as rare as hen's teeth. This is the old J-Car Special, but I mean, we started off with ones that I got from eBay for $60. That weren't too bad either. The key thing there is that they take B and C connectors for your, or there's something for your analog video, and then you've got HDMI out. So that's what we need there. So at the very least, you could have a timing system completely separate and run that with your computer, but then still just have this going to a TV to show the onboard video. So at least that way, locally, your people can see what you're doing there, right? But the key to bridging that into a live stream comes down to getting this HDMI into your computer, right? Into one of these USBs. Now, what we used to do that is a capture card. This is the one I've gone with. This is the EVGA Media LGP2. I don't know what the number 1 was, but this is the 2. Now, I should just. So the capture card effectively will take a HDMI input source and then put it into the computer via USB. Most people use the Elgato, which seems quite fine. There is a really lovely cheap one that if you have nothing, let me find it. There is one that is very cheap. You can buy them on eBay. So I guess you only get 30 frames. It depends on the more you spend, generally the better quality you get. But I mean, for $18.49 Australian, let me see if I can put this into a browser view. I'm just really, and this is the other laptop ready to go. But here we go. This thing here. Dan says that this works quite well, so I trust Dan's opinion on that. But you can get something as cheap as this. The Elgato thing costs you like $180, and I think that EVGA Media thing set me back around $200 and something. So it depends on what you want out of it. What I like about the EVGA Media one is that it has a HDMI out as well, so I can export the DVR raw to a screen as well as into the computer. Pretty cool. What I have done for this, in this case, for this live stream, I've got 2 of them, because for the laptop I'm setting it up on, this laptop is going to a capture card via the HDMI. Oh god. It's going via this HDMI cable into a capture card. Oh, this one. Very messy setup, but I'll talk through this. So I'm capturing this laptop into this laptop for the purposes of the stream. However, the laptop I'm doing the setup on also has a capture card that is connected to the mega ground station there with all the clear views. Right? So let's go back a bit now, right? So the entire way to get your video from the quad is to analog receiver right? India AV out, AV1 or AV2, doesn't matter. Then this goes into the back of a analog DVR, and I think we made up these cables. We bought some of these connectors from an electronics shop, and you buy an audio cable and you kind of work out which one the video out is. It's hacky, but just you work it out. Into a security camera DVR, and then that into a computer. Alright, you with me? Cool. So, what else is there? I'll keep going with the equipment still, so it's all covered. Once you've got all that going, at the very, very base level, you can have a timing software running independently of the video and have that just go into a computer, but you're only missing a capture card to bridge the gap and complete the puzzle. So definitely working with that. And then what you will want to eventually sort of add on there is like additional webcams and stuff to improve the experience, right? So in my setup, I will use my laptop cam, which is this one. This is the inbuilt laptop cam. I'll have one of these plugged in. This one actually will go behind the track, and I'll have some sort of USB extender and a big 5-volt 4S battery with a 5-volt step down on a USB extender out in the field behind the track. It could be 30 meters away. Then I'll have another webcam again. This one on a 3-meter straight USB extension. That I'll have sitting in like the pilot pit's tent somewhere. Or if there's a tent dedicated for the pilots, I'll have it on there. I'll have it angled down because I want to see their heads and moving around and stuff. So already I'm working with 3 camera sources, and I also have the DVR there. So they've got that. Then I eventually added a USB audio mixer to the mix. That allowed me. What did that give me? Oh, it means I can control the volume on the PA speaker locally, the same as. Like independently of the live stream audio. So it gave me all these knobs here. This is this thing here. Let me just switch to the little cam here. Actually, I should show you the equipment in Timmy's disgusting box. So now the blokes in the US, especially those fews with like the full trailer setup, they're probably going to laugh at my struggles in this. But I mean, I am pretty transported with this. I can throw it in a car and it's all lubbed around. So at the heart of everything, right, is the power board. It's a 12 socket one. This goes and powers the DVR off that. I stick the webcams in there. I eventually got to the point where I bought a 4G router, and that has a dedicated SIM in there because I got sick of tethering my phone. This is the USB audio mixer I'm talking about, so I can put a microphone in here, a microphone in there. This third channel is what controls like the music I'm playing via the USB, and I can control the audio volume of the speakers independently there, and then I plug the speakers into that, and away I go. It means I can interface with other PA systems quite easily as well. Typically, they don't want to just expect you to come up with a 3.5mm headphone jack, so that's been pretty good as well. I had to get the full USB hub for the laptop. The laptop has 3 USB-As and a USB-C. I need 6 in total, is where I'm at, so ridiculous. I have to use that. I also have then, like, this is a wireless microphone thing, a UHF one, if needed. It's a bit hit and miss, though. I didn't spend a great deal of money. It can be regarded as pretty much junk. And what else we have? The RF Explorer here to catch the Swampy McSwamp dogs. We'll do that at the end, or later on. But if you want, about the RF Explorer bars and stuff. And I also have, obviously, a microphone and a Stream Deck in here. That's pretty much about it. But some of it's semi-plugged in, so I can basically plonk it on the table and start setting up. But really, it's still, no matter how much I show someone, it's one of those things that no one really feels comfortable touching. It's kind of one of those things that only exist in my head, and I don't know what I'm doing with it. And even then, I don't actually really know. I can unpiece it together any time and keep going back together again, but you look what I'm dealing with here. And I have other little accessories in the bag, so this is like a little 5-volt reg step-down thing I made for the track cam. It's got like a little adjustable 5-volt reg there, you know. You do little stuff like that. Not very hard. Alright. That's a lot. How does that feel for equipment? Is everyone on board with me so far? Are there any questions on any of the equipment items specifically yet? Oh, what is the frequencies of the wireless microphone? Good question. I bought a UHF and a VHF. Tell you what. Pretty junk. This one I'm using is the UHF one. So it's around 570.5 megahertz, and the other channel is 588. I tried a VHF one as well. Really sucked. I think because they're buried in that case, that's not really the best opportunity for good wireless microphone range. That said, I didn't spend a great deal. That was like an $80 package. And it shows. If I really cared, I'd probably get a really expensive one, but the quality of my voice is not really the key thing in a live stream. I don't think it's really worth it. Yeah. Let me just. I can't really read the live chat so well. I obviously need a black background there. So does the box create the grid? The HDMI and ARC? Yes, we'll get into that part. Good. Okay. Let's go. Let's move to the first part of the software, the timing software part, and I will change this to part 3 because I didn't pre-make these. But yes, your question, Travis, comes into the OBS part, which I will say is part 4. So, moving over to this laptop here. Let's rotate this. I've downloaded and pre-installed everything already, but I just got the latest versions. If you want to see, well, that's for later if you want. I downloaded RF Explorer. I downloaded OBS. I already have that installed. That'll be blank, and I also have FPV Trackside. So if you want to grab that, I'll just run through that simulation again because it takes so little time. Download. Get the latest version. Trust me, I've already tested it for you. And then you grab it, and then it downloads. Then we install it, and we click yes. Yeah, don't worry, it's safe. Yep, and that's it. It's done. Ready to go. So, double the click, and this is the opening. So this is a bit of a history then. I previously used Lifetime for the first several years. I might actually just go back quickly. No, I'll do that section in OBS about that part. But I used to use Lifetime originally. That's what pretty much most people started on. It's primarily a car-based software, but that then started to integrate out for FPV. But around the early last year, the lovely Dan, known as UE Webpep, started making this piece of software called FPV Trackside. And the thing I love about this is that it natively takes the video in, which is really good. And that gives you extra really cool features and quality. So when you first open it, you can read the online manual. Might be handy, but you could probably follow along this, and I'll probably sort you out. So I'll just click continue. Okay. So what am I looking for there? When you're going to make your first race event, let's say Timmy's race event. Give it a name. It's the first thing you do. How many pilots registered? That number is 0. That doesn't matter. You're not telling it how many. You're going to put in pilots later. Channels. I can't even change that yet. It's in a different section. Laps. It depends. I'll normally go with 4. I like to give 183 minutes for slow pilots. So that's basically how long the race rules will be. How many laps? What's the personal best measured as? 1's pretty good. Everyone knows what's the fastest thing on the track, and how long a race round is before it eliminates. The race starts. So this is that random delay that you like between 1 and 5, or straight on the same time. I think you could make them both, but we've always loved the launch on the tone in 5 seconds sort of deal there. So that's what we have those as the default settings. The track layout one. This is one that is definitely a personal preference there. So you change this to whole shot or end of lap, depending on when your pilots go trigger the timing gate the first time. So typically we love doing the whole shot rule at our club, so which means that we'll have the starting blocks, and then we'll have a flag or something, but pretty much we'll funnel all the pilots through the start-finish gate pretty much just after like a single quarter or something, or straight through, and then we'll start keeping the time there. So that'll denote our little hash next to the pilot's times when you see it, to show that was the whole shot time. And this is how long you want it to ignore from when it goes beep. Now, you've got to account for your fastest pilot in this one. I just bring it down to 1, and we just hope that the track is not that close that someone's going to be getting sub 1 second whole shot times. But it has happened once or twice, and it was very awkward. Not really awkward, actually. I just had to add additional laps. It was admin headache. That's what it was. And a minimum lap time. Now, this software will not necessarily not record the lap time, but it's just to help it calculate what you should expect in terms of realistic lap time. So, make something up. Use your judgment here. First event made. How about that? Now, what we want to do, the channel list view. By default, the software comes installed with IMD6 configured. It's not for me. Let us change this. So go to pretty much everything is done by this little hamburger menu in the top left here. 3 little lines. And note we haven't got, this little thing here means we've got no timing system connected and we've got no video connected yet. So, got a lot to go. Let's go into settings. Let's go into, let's do the channels first. So here we go. There's all the channels. All I want to do, I'm just gonna, let me see. I wonder if, I'm not sure if it's been, if it's gonna, I can add, yeah, I don't like that, okay. Just remove all of them. I just want race band 1 day. And I figured there'd be something funky about the ordering. So yes, this one also supports the DJI channels, and I have successfully used, had someone on this channel, amongst the analog channels, and it worked. So yes, confirm that that does work. I'm just going to add all these. I'm going to add 1 to 8. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. Now we've got our 8 channels there. I'll just bring up this chat window. Oh, I can drag to reorder them, says Dan. Well, that's nice. I didn't know that. So even I'm learning something tonight. This is wonderful. It's good to have the... Oh, there we go. Look at that. It's good to have the developer on chat. We'll just undo that. I have regret. Ah, I think I'll just click this arrow. Safer. Okay, so I've got the timing, the channels sorted for the timer. I need to then obviously configure the timer, which comes under timing settings. That's the club one. So what you want to do is put in the IP address of that. So what you do, if you have never done bug, if you have, oh, I haven't even turned on the timer yet. When you turn on this timer, cool. You got to set it an IP. I don't know if it does DHCP. Either way, you don't want to be effing around looking at your DHCP and fiddling with that. You need to like go into this menu. You need to go into communications. You need to go Ethernet IP. You need to set that. And it's, you got to hold the button. Trust me, the lower octets you go, the less painful it is. That's a pain to set that up. But you only have to do it once and it's saved and it's forgotten. So back to this. I will, wrong scene. I will punch in that IP address. That's what I set that one to. And what you want to pay attention to here is the gain and threshold. Now, this took ages of sort of getting right, but what you really want to do is like just the rule of thumb, 54, 50-ish for the gain for an outdoor race, and a threshold of 800. Whenever I do tiny, whoops, though, I'm putting this down to like 50 or 48, and I'm putting that threshold up to like 1100. And it was particularly painful, say, during my Thunderdome series, because the timing gate was like right under me, and we were flying all around us in this particular area there. So I ended up having to get the 8-way mounted face down on the block, so it was only like just off the ground here, and I had to tweak these numbers until it stopped getting false laps. Cool. Now the 8-way beep, I don't know if you heard on the stream, because this I'm using this little microphone on the live cam here, so you're going to just hear all the ambient noise anyway. But now we can see that this has gone white to show that timing is connected, and we have one timer. If I add a second one, I just plug it into the same network and I add another one. So if you wanted to go into here as well, and I wanted to add a second one for, not channels. If I wanted to do like a halfway gate for, what do we call that, sector timing or something? I'd go into here and I'd go add. And then you can choose like an 8-way, a puck, Delta 9, Delta 5 video, or dummy one. The video is I think still experimental. You can have like a coloured gate and it can kind of measure the pixels and do a timing from that. It situationally would work, but not proven to be fully reliable. I think it still needs some tweaking. But the 8-way and puck are pretty key, and the Delta 5. So just in the case of this, just add another one of those, and if I wanted a second one, I can say it's my split one. So this is the primary, and this is the split. Then you go and change those details around. Looks like it can assume which one is the... Oh, cool. That's new. I haven't added the split one for a while. So the other thing we need to make this work is obviously the video. We haven't got the video in here yet. Let's just shoo this away. So I got... With no video, we've got 8 blank channels there. I want to add my video input settings. I already have this device here, it seems. But I will remove it. So what you do is, it's going to already look for the devices on your computer that sort of meet the camera sort of requirements. So this would be the webcam in there. I mean, like, you could, in theory, have a webcam pointing at a screen of just the raw DVR on another monitor. It'd look horrible, but you could do that in the absence of a capture card. I mean, you could just put in, like, a 1080p webcam perfectly aligned in front of, like, a 1080p screen of the DVR, and this would still kind of work. Shame on you for considering it, though, and shame on me for suggesting it. So what we want to do is we want to choose a mode here. I like the 1080 stuff because that's what my streams are generally going to be. And then in here you want to choose what kind of feed it is. So I could also put in the commentator pick or the launch or pit cam in here as well. I'll just start off with this first and then we can add that later. So what kind of DVR is this in terms of how's it split? So that would be relative to your DVR. So if you go to the analog, like if you actually plug the DVR into your screen, you'll see it's either, you got one camera view or 2x2. What we normally do is 3x3, and we just let that, in terms of the coverage percent, give those, you can tweak those if need be, but they work pretty well for me. That did not work well for me. Oh wait, hang on. FPV feed. What's going on? Oh, this is the, okay. No, that's working. So this is just how the views come up now. So what I want to do is add pilots now. Now, what I do is, for my outdoor races, I get them all on a spreadsheet, effectively. I get names, so I could, in the case of this, I'm just going to put some names in. Beatrice, Scott, I'm just putting in names of people that are actually in my club. Let's see, there's an Adam message me, and there's another Dan. Let's see, we've got 7, 8. Is that 8? Cool. So, what I would do, though, in this case, I have all of them in a row. If I wanted to, well, I can just grab all these parts and then I can just right-click and go paste them in. Right? And then it'll just go and put them all in there and allocate them channels in order. Now, if I had, say, several groups, like say I've had a registered list of like 30 people, and I want them all spaced out in channels, I could keep going like salad, monkey, potato, and then, I'm actually getting really terrible at that. Honey, cereal, tomato. Wow, okay. So if I was to, oh no, let me just remove all pilots. Let's just do that again. So if the spacing in the notepad document here, the spacing here means that like this, I'll be on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then Noel will be on 1. I want Sal to be on channel 3, so I'll put a blank line there for where channel 2 would be. So this is what I kind of do for my when I'm making my groups, at least in for the first time. So let's grab those pilots, that list there, and let's paste that in. And then that should at least spread out the channels as I've entered them there. And if you want to have a look to see how your channel views are as well, you can see, so sometimes you might have too many stacked on one. So look, I've got too many, I've got no one on 2 and 4. I still have Fat Shark channels there. I don't want that. But I don't have other people on, do I have the channels even wrong on this now? Have I lost that setting? Oh, maybe I've not even, let me get back. I do want the race band channels. Okay, I do have the race band channels. Just close it. Okay, good. No more Fat Shark channels. So once you've configured the channels, maybe just close the app and reopen it. That's what I just had to do then. Never sure. Not sure. Okay. So what I do for at least my registrations is I go. Oh, I could probably show you this actually. I have. I get my pilot registrations via Google Docs sheet effectively, and I just take all the call signs, the names. And then I just basically put enter and just basically space them out. What I eventually do is I take this sheet. I'll just show you my race sheet. This is probably sort of segueing here, but kind of important in terms of like how I actually work this out. What do I do? Enable this. So that's not the scene you're looking for. Okay, go away. So I put all my pilots into here, right? And that's how I give them the channels. But I've taken that from the Google Docs with all their names, and I'll effectively just put them in there, and once I've got that all sorted, I can comfortably copy that, except for this guy. I can comfortably copy it all, and then paste that straight into trackside. and then you can just move the channels around. So I'll just align that, because what I do is I'm still using a spreadsheet for most of my race directing stuff, just because I liked, well, Trackside probably does now have these features, but I kind of want to do this, and it also gives me like some of this cool like heads up, like the headshot stuff, which I can go into like at the end if you guys want. But effectively I use a spreadsheet, and then I have these formulas in here, and then I have my raw data, so I just paste all the raw data of each round in here, and then this does all the voodoo of like working out what your race runs are, and then it does ranking and yada 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 yada. That's a bit more of an not a great shot. That's a bit more of a hardcore thing, but you know, we'll get into that. So just the key thing is get them into Trackside first. Get them into Trackside, and with this all pretty much ready, I can just add these videos. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4. Time system beeps. Cool. And so now I can run this as a race, and away it'll go. I don't have anything plugged in. I don't even need to bother, but you don't need, that's not the point. But what have we got? What else do I need to configure? That felt a bit too easy. I'm sure like I'm missing something. No, that's basically it. I load my pilots in the left. I paste my pilots in, add some to a race, and then you click start down here, or you can hit spacebar. And I'll hit spacebar. Now there's some audio probably playing on this computer that no one's hearing, but then this kicks off the race. The time should start triggering. Something should happen. There we go. The timing is now ticking down, so now this race is happening, and if there's laps being clocked at the 8-way, then you'll start to see those things there. What I might do is actually I'll just probably remove this timer and put a dummy one there, because it's probably going to be more useful to show you what's going to be happening. Dummy. Let's go 10 seconds. When I run a race, yeah, no one finished. Let's just restart the race, which is that button on the right there. I might just hide my face for a second, because I'm blocking these cool buttons here. So this should now trigger the race, and we should start getting some lap times there. Similarly, like, yeah, you can left and right arrows, or clicking the pilots button here will bring up this pilots view, but when a race starts, it's going to hide it away. You want to basically focus on the pilot windows. Did I even... Start race. And similarly... Oh, is it too late to add someone in? No, it's not. How about that? Okay, so this is now a fake race that started with a dummy time system. I've got no video because I've got nothing plugged in, but there you go. So there's a whole shot there, and what I have there, see, this software is actually rearranging the windows so that first is always in the top left, then second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. You can configure that as a setting, of course. Like, you could turn that off, but this is kind of one of the unique features that Trackside is taking this raw video from your DVR straight into the software, and it can actually virtually carve up those particular pixels and then move them around in a virtual space, but really the plain video is still coming out of the DVR the same way it always has. So this is really just sort of doing some magical cropping and shuffling there. Right. Yeah, Salad's my favourite pilot too, Nathan. I'm glad you're a fan. So I'll let this race just finish, just to sort of show you, and then we can start like adding some more things to it. So I figure I'd sort of just show this part of the software incompleteness, and then I can show you the other one. It's already 9:30. Wow, this is taking time. Alright, look, end that. So, this is now a race that's now done, right? And what I do is I click copy, or I just do Control-C, and then if you want to paste those results into a spreadsheet, I just paste them in there. So then I get, the pilot did not finish, so or what position they got and the times. And you can configure what data you want to export. So for me, what I care about in terms of the data from the... Move this camera away. What I care about in terms of the data I'm getting out of the race day is I want the pilot's name, the position they finished, not that I'm using that, but I want their whole race time. My qualifying for our clubs is your best 2-hole races, but you may want to do best consecutive or whatever. So you can go into Trackside and obviously change what data you want exported. Settings. Export column settings. So I've enabled that, I've enabled the position, and all I have is the entire race time, which is inclusive of the whole shot, right? So if you just wanted your consecutive laps, you'd probably enable that instead, or if you wanted single fastest lap, or if you just wanted personal best, you can enable and disable those. But because my spreadsheet is only looking for 3 columns, I only care about the one time of your total race, including the whole shot time. So in Trackset, if you want to basically run your races in there, you can add a round, or you can do things like that. You can do your round generation in there, which is what I do for my tiny whoop races. So imagine I just want to go back and fix everything, and I want to create a round with everyone. And so let's go add round, keep channels. Cool. And so then I've got a round with all these people, and I can move people around. I'm not sure why it's picking. I think it's trying to fill all the groups with 8, which is why I've got 2 rounds of that. But do some people fly twice? Oh no, I've got 16 there. That looks about right. And then you can add a round, and you can say change channels. It'll denote people who have changed channels with a tiny little triangle in the channel window there. So 1, 2, 3 people have to change channels in this round here. And you can clone around, or you can even just go and show PB times if they exist, but also you can just do an empty round. And you can drag and you can create blank races and drag and drop people in. There we go. And stuff like that. One thing I forgot to tell you about too that was really cool is that during a race, if someone crashes out, and this will support up to 8, lovely in a few here. Let's see, where do we go? When I need to add a channel 3 and add a channel 6. Don't have it. 2. Is anyone on 8? Let's move this guy on 8. 7. So now it gets a bit squished, right? And which channel is missing? 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So in an 8 pilot race, it's a bit, yeah, you got some spare real estate here. But if I run this race and someone crashes out, you can delete the pilots who have crashed out, and then it'll rearrange the windows. And if you get down from say this to 6, it'll actually expand the windows bigger. So, and if you get down to the fact that everyone's finished, but you're waiting for that one guy who is just beginning, you can go down just to one pilot view and give the attention that he deserves when you want that one guy to finish. So the race is finished. This guy's crashed. This guy's crashed. This guy's crashed. This guy's crashed. Now you got a giant view of 2x2, so now you got more real estate there, and there's not that extra noise in the screen. When you have a missing number there, it populates with the lap records, but this is configurable to show other things. You could have this show your YouTube chat or commentator cam, I think, as well. We'll see. There's things in there, but I haven't fiddled around too much of that yet because I've typically put everything in OBS. But I think what I want to get to, the point of this is that you could effectively put pretty much just have a simple scene of just this trackside app here. And that would be pretty decent for a stream as it is. But I'd like to show you if we can add more. So there we go. So this is down when it's one pilot now, so it's actually quite focused, and you can see that there's a lot of attention on that person. So I can restart them. Yes. So if I want to redo a race, say that one was a false. Say I had a power outage and the timing system stopped, and we have to rerun that race, guys. I can just let it run, or end it early and then hit restart. And then now it's back to scratch, and I can do that. Why would you only add race? If I'm so what I'm doing is I don't even need to actually create any rounds or races. I can keep pasting in groups, just of the names. Let me just see if I can go back to this. If I want to run a race of just these people, I can just paste them in. That's a race. So what I'm doing from the spreadsheet is I'm actually copying the groups. It's not on this laptop. I'm copying the spreadsheet, like each group, A, B, C, D, and then just pasting that into trackside and hitting run. But if I wanted to do the entire event from here as well, I could pre-create the rounds. And I'm just showing there's a whole variety of ways you could create them if you want. If you want to do something totally custom, exactly. So if I want to do an ad race, say I want to just do a 1v1 of 2 people before the finals because there were some throwdowns and words were said, and we need to settle it on the field. That would be a good example of creating like a blank race and just dragging 2 people in for a quick fight. What else we got there? So there's also some cool themes. I like this. So you can totally customize the look. Right? this is one of the inbuilt themes. I think I made this one. And when it comes down to you changing, asked about brackets. Oh, sorry. Good, thank you. Erase and around. I didn't see the question about brackets. You know what, Dan? I actually haven't even done the brackets yet. So, let's do it. How do I even do it? You did make it. What brackets? I'm not even sure how I do the brackets yet. I might have to come back to that. In here, well, for sure. I'm going to show the themes off now anyway. In terms of making it, changing.
You there, Timmy?
Oh, hello. Yes, I have this ready. Yes, hello.
You do it on the. You right click on the race itself. And then set a bracket.
Announce? Oh, I see. Okay, thanks, Dan. Jumping in there for some live chatting. So, set race bracket. Wow, okay. I've never done this. This is new for me. Winners. Set race bracket. Losers. Ooh, okay. This is going to require me to probably play with it a bit more to actually test it out at some point. But, I think this would feed into it. I'm not really sure where I go to from here, though. But, that looks good.
When you generate another race, it'll keep those pilots in that bracket, if that makes sense.
Okay. So, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So doing brackets at least there. So basically, when you created a round, you want to right-click and say, set this round back to like a regular part. Wait. Yeah. Set race bracket winners and losers, and then what that should do is when I create the next round after the results, it should then filter the people appropriately. So I think I then would go add a round, empty, add a race. Winners. I'm going to do right click, not left click. Set race bracket losers. Presumably that would work there. I'll have to experiment separately another time and play with that. But I've typically just run just regular races and then just taken the data out.
You do the auto generation thing to make the brackets keep happening, but that doesn't matter. Okay, yeah, you just.
So I need to do the auto generation thing to make the bracket. So I've never used that part of the feature of this software myself.
Sorry.
So I will have to explore further and maybe tweak some like whoop rounds maybe into brackets or something. I might do that for my an upcoming season or something. But this does support brackets if you need to. I'd like to run maybe a top 32 or 16 in here one day. I'll get to it. Other cool things is removable parts, list view settings, sound editor. If you want to change any of the sounds, it's going to use the text to speech typically anyway, but you can put a file in here in this, or pick a file that you want to say instead, in like basically speak out a WAV file or MP3 in lieu of the text to speech. Probably only useful for the starting part and the finishing one, because you need the text to speech to basically read out the pilot names dynamically and things like that anyway. What else we got here? Personal best times view. Kind of useful if when you want to talk about bragging rights on a day, but that's just clicking in amongst there. So that's kind of how it all works. That's basically the most of it. What I could do now to show you is I might just add a webcam to this and just show you how that quickly looks there. So good old trusty Logitech. Yeah, good webcam. Okay, let's go into video input settings. Hopefully it's detected it. There it has. C930E. So, video default mode. Yeah, sure. And this will be my commentator cam. Now, when this comes up... Oh, wow. Okay, there we go. So, if you just add the cam into here, it's going to appear natively. This is pretty crazy, though, with all the view. That's how that works, at least. That way I can set this up here. Jeez, how many cameras do I need on me? Or similarly, I could change this to the track cam. And that's pretty neat, because as the track cam, it will fade after the race has started straight to the pilot view. Launch or pits. Still says commentators. I'll just close and restart it. Some things need a restart. Okay, there we are, commentator cam. So that way, yeah, I can just add the webcam straight into trackside, and then just don't have to worry about really doing anything else. So I can sit here and talk to it and have a microphone and whatever. That's cool as a commentator cam. And as a track cam, pretty much similar. I think it just behaves slightly differently in terms of when it appears. I use the track cam and everything in OBS myself. So yeah, that's kind of pretty much where we go with that. But now you can see this up here. It says 2, which means that there's 2 video input sources. So I think if I added the track cam as well, that would show 3. Effectively, yeah, just keep pasting in paths, keep running races, and then paste them into a spreadsheet. What I should probably do now is maybe the OBS part. It's probably ready to move on. How's everyone else feel? Should I do any more questions about this first before I move on? How do I set the number of paths to go through and are eliminated? That'll be a question for Dan, probably, Mr. Croft. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't actually played with the rounds part too much to know. But even though also when a race is live, you can even just switch away from it and go into the parts and start creating more rounds. Pretty distracting for your live stream though. But you can do that. But remember, just click the live button on the side there to go back to it. In this one here, their fastest time will show as yellow. That's Potato's fastest lap. That's Joe's fastest lap. And show PBs, so then it starts clocking the PBs here as well. Okay, so yellow being the fastest one out of everyone. Pretty neat, hey? I think I might need to move on to the OBS part now though, because yeah, I could probably go on for a while. Oh, I think it's time to move on anyway to the OBS part. Let me just change the title. Okay, so I've assumed at this point now we're all okay with running opening trackside, adding a video source, adding an 8-way or a timer, at least adding a pilot and hitting start and play, but you haven't got to the point where you've actually started to broadcast this and show everyone. This is probably, and OBS is probably the most pivotal part to the fact of it being a live stream, hey? So I've installed OBS already. Open source, just grab it though. The version I'm using is 26.0.2. I don't update it all the time. I don't read the notes too much. But this is what it looks like when it starts off completely blank. Now, what you want to do is basically you have scenes down the bottom left here, and these are all the sources that'll make up a given scene. Mine have gotten pretty complicated with many sources in here, and I end up with something like scenes for, well, probably about a dozen or so. I'll have one for, like on my outdoor race day, I'll have one for obviously just trackside running the race. I'll have one for the launch cam. I'll have one for the heads-up shot of all the pilots. I'll have one for the pits. I'll have a different one for the pits that has the RF Explorer in it. I'll have one for the results. I'll have one, and then I have all these other result ones now that show the final results. And I'll have a pre-stream one. I might even have a lunch break one, and I'll have a stream ending one. Yeah, that many. So complete. You don't need to have that many. Actually, this is the time to go back to this part here. Let me show you. This is what my. This is my spreadsheet, but this is what my very first stream.
Broken up this contract. I've never done that before. I hope I don't regret it. Switching back to pit view here. I got video on channel 3 and 7. I'm missing Louis.
We already had the 2x2 ground station. And what I've done here, I've got a piece of live time down here, and I just have this 2x2 blank DVR. There's no real connection between the two. And then we get to this part here. This is like this is effectively the race scene I make up. I've just got 2 scenes. got 2 scenes effectively, just a pit one and the race one. That's all you really need, right? And then I kind of kept working on it, and then I eventually started adding some stuff. So around June, I had this sort of stuff going on, where I had the RF Explorer, but still lifetime, and I just made little different graphics and stuff. Oh, I customized that little overlay there, made it all blue and stuff. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Not too special though, much the same. And then this is what it started to look like. Oh, what was this? This is only August, so this is me with a different slightly different view for a club race. Still very similar, but this is where it looks. This is where I've switched to a different layout though, effectively. And then this is where it comes. This is the first day. This is the first race I started using trackside. So April last year. This is what my pre-stream loop here. This is just a video. What I do is I put a GoPro on a quad and get one HD run, and then I split it up a bit and put that before each race. And ideally, I try and set my quad further back and try and get some hectic follow shots or whatever. And yeah, it looks pretty cool. And I just basically mix it in there. And I crash sometimes and whatever, but I just find some little highlights. But what I have now is so I have this RF Explorer view. I have the race view. I have a pit view. I have a pre-stream thing. It's all going on, right? It's starting to look pretty pro now. Oh wait, where's the result screen? There's a result screen, and stuff like that. So that's this part. That's in my spreadsheet, the result screen, right? Right? Cool. So don't go too hard. Don't feel like that you have to have the best thing from the go. Like, continually evolve it. Build something simple, and then just try and add to it bit by bit. That's my recommendation. If you go in the deep end and you try and have everything, it's not going to work well, and it's going to look like it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess. Is this on the same laptop as trackside? Yes, I technically have trackside on both these laptops. You can even do stuff with OBS and things like that, where I could have one laptop that just does trackside, and that's what I did at Nationals, where Rhett was using the laptop with trackside, running all the races, putting the parts in and pasting the results, and then I basically took that video feed into my laptop and then added all my stuff on top, and then then had myself and Maddie and Curtis commentate to it. So you can actually split out the functions as well if you have like a pretty professional setup and you have someone dedicated to just running the race control and not wanting to talk. Yeah, sometimes I run a 2-laptop setup, sometimes I run one. It just depends. I did start going to a 2 regularly, with the intention that other guys in my club would start doing that part. It got a bit messy, and then in the end it was just me trying to stretch between 2 laptops, and it wasn't very ergonomic. So right now, and also I started to hit the CPU limits after adding heaps of stuff, that I had to buy a new laptop, and so currently now I have a really beastie one that can really hold everything. So I suppose if you find that you're hitting the thresholds of what the laptop can handle, you might want to start splitting out some functions there. Trackside's pretty light itself. I think the OBS is probably the more intense part for sure. So anyway, to the OBS part. You're going to start off with just a blank scene here, and what I want to do is I'm going to call this obviously just trackside, or just race scene. Alright? And what I want to do now, if I'm doing it for trackside, I'll do it different. But I'll show you if I was setting this up, say for lifetime, or just wanted something raw and I didn't have trackside, for example. Not sure why you wouldn't, but if you're one of those people, LGP2, that's just the name of my DVR. Oh, I'm going to call this a DVR. Call them logical names. Be sensible with your names. So I'm adding my first source, the race scene, and then I've got all these little input devices. This could be my webcam. It could be the thing there. I've also installed this OBS virtual camera. Don't worry about that. That's me installing something else that adds a virtual camera. You can do really cool stuff. Actually, what I did with that, just to talk about this virtual camera, I use this. What does it? Creates a virtual webcam of the OBS output, and you can do stuff like that. But what do I do with it? Oh, I overlaid stuff, and I did green screen stuff, and then I used the OBS cam in my work and Teams and Citrix meetings with clients and stuff, and I changed my background dynamically in OBS like a weirdo, and it was really funny because it was how do you get in that background? It was I downloaded video animations of a background of someone's corporate office, and then I photoshopped it to be pretend corporate office that I worked for, and yeah, it really messes people's heads. Don't worry about that though, just for fun. So when I add this is the raw DVR. This is what it actually looks like. And blah 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 blah. Preview scaling, scale the window. Thank you. So This is what a raw DVR looks like when you add it there. This is the 3x3 grid, and I even have like a crappy little mouse somewhere plugged into it. Here's my little DVR mouse. If I really wanted to do 2x2, this is what I'm talking about, where you go into multi-screen. I can change it to 2x2 grid or whatever, but most people are running 3x3. So that's just, don't do that. But it's handy to have the mouse in there. People used to like want to go full screen with one pilot, they double click, but it's a bit clunky. Much easier to do on trackside. So if I was setting it for lifetime, for example, I would add this, and then I would add their CG layout afterwards, and then you try and move things around independently. In the case of trackside, you don't do that. We will remove this. I want to open trackside though. Multi-window views. Race up on one time. Oh yeah, could do. Okay. Recover race. Oh, you're already seeing this. Oh, this is me with the trackside. So I've opened up trackside. Here's the race, and now I go back into here, and I want to do a window capture. So a window capture will be something already on this computer. So effectively, I can just pick the trackside app, and there it is. I got the choice of like a. Well, I should have other things. If I open up other things, I think I get the choice of other apps. You can have like any other program there. Lucky it's found the one I want. Capture method. Couldn't tell you which one's better. Just let it be automatic. The thing I like turning off here is turn off capture cursor. That way it won't show your mouse cursor when you're running around in the stream. So I've added this as a window thing there, and so you notice that we've got this little these buttons on the right. We don't want those, so what I've actually do is I just stretch this out. So that way, on a 1080p resolution, as is with the start bar visible, it's cropped just nicely that when you stretch it out, the height matches the width with the buttons pushed out to the right. You know, here they are. I just push them out to the right there. Okay. So I mean, at the very, 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 very least, this is all you need to do a stream. Right? Because you can add your commentator cam into trackside like I've done here, and now I could just go and set up my stream. So I gotta hit. Can you even see this button? Oh, I gotta turn off my webcam. So you've got your start streaming here. We've got to go into our settings. What's our service? Really? Look, I just go custom, and then I just get a server URL, something YouTube-ish. I think this must be the already one. So anyway, you can just then show it. You get a stream key. I don't think I should show you this. This is one of those privacy things. But effectively, on YouTube, you can say go live, and then it tells you the server name, and it'll give you this long hexadecimal thing there for a stream key. So you can pop that in there, click OK, and then when you hit start streaming, it'll then pump to that server. I could show you what it looks like on here, I guess. No, that's not going to work. So that's all you need to do. I can hit start stream now, and I can start streaming this stream of a setup of a stream out to YouTube or Facebook or whatever. I recommend probably just going to YouTube. I have problems with a bit of my synthwave music, and I find that YouTube seems pretty reliable for taking the whole thing, processing it after the fact, and you can download the whole thing later. It's much more easy to work with after the fact. So cool. But if you want to go a bit further than this, right? Say I want to add a pit scene. Let's go pit scene. Okay. I want to then put in other stuff in here. So I probably have to close trackside to turn off my commentator cam. I'll switch back to this and just remove my commentator cam. Oh no, I've got two cameras. I can use the other camera. So let's add video capture device webcam. Oh. Someone in my club put tape over this. Classic privacy tape. That explains why I couldn't see it. So, there we go. Now this is just one layer. So obviously I'm gonna be talking. I'm gonna have a webcam out here is what I normally do. I also then want to probably take trackside again, right? And I like to use the right-click menus here where possible. Copy. I use a lot of the copy and paste parts, and I also do a lot of the transformy and these things to try and move it around. If you're clicking on something and dragging it around, it gets really messy, and I'm always find I'm moving the wrong layer. So I'm very vigorous with like locking and unlocking layers. So once I don't want to move something, I kind of lock it. In this case, I just want to copy trackside, and I want to paste a reference. So a reference one. What is it? A reference one. A reference one will refer to the main one, but a duplicate will be a copy of that one, and therefore you can manipulate certain settings. So like, if I'm doing the text titles, I will probably do duplicates and then rename them and that sort of stuff. In the case of trackside, it's just going to be another copy of this. So I want basically this to be a smaller version of this. So I'll just drag that there, right? And then what I would do, probably do better than that, come on. And so you're moving little points here. The thing is, if you don't hold any keys when you're stretching things around, it does it to scale. If you hold shift, it does. And look, there's no way of getting that back once you've done that. So once you've screwed it, you go transform, reset, and try again. All the time. And if I want to crop stuff out, you hold Alt. And then you can see that the line goes green where it starts to cut off where you're cropping out. So I'd probably want to crop out. Again, this thing's showing in here. I lock this, crop this, move this across, and then I can shrink this down, stick this up there, and I'd probably let's just move my webcam on top, move the layers around, lock the trackside, unlock the webcam, shrink this in a bit, because I don't need to have the full widescreen view of my head here, right? And then to make it look semi-tracksidey, there is a color source, something yellowy that looks kind of like the theme that I chose. Now you can obviously spend a bit of time in getting this looking right, but I'm just trying to throw things together just to give you an idea. And obviously I want to add some text. Pit view text. Pit view. Find a font. Oh, Arcade Classic. That font is a bit small. There we go. And there's Pit View up there. So if I wanted to do this again for a another view, I can just copy that text and keep the font and keep the size and everything. And then you can just change the name and make it. So if I want to use that text again, copy, I do a paste duplicate. Yeah, cool. I get it. You get a 2 there. See, right? So it's a different one that you can tweak. Watch live on something. I don't know. And rename it to be useful. But that way, it's at least got the same font size, and you can put text down there. And you can do this stuff like scrolling text, I think, as well. Outline. Oh, let's make an outline. Let's make it black. There's lots of little things you can tweak here to make it stand out. So it's pretty useful. You don't have to necessarily make your entire view. You don't have to make your entire thing in Photoshop. I did a lot of things where I'd make an entire PNG overlay in Photoshop, and then I'd try and bring it in there. But it's probably easiest to natively work with as much as you've got in here already. Yeah. So what else do I add? I'd probably have the track webcam down here. Can I probably add another one of these? And look, we're building up our sources down here. Logitech cam. Let's see what happens when I fight OBS. Camera is in use. Let me just remove this camera. So say I want to put the pit cam into here. Where do I go? Where do I go? Oh, the input settings. Yes, remove this. Easy. And deactivate, activate. I do that a lot too. Sometimes it doesn't work when I first plug it in. Turn it off. Turn it on again. Works. You can do things in here as well, like configure the white balance. Sometimes in the tent. Oh no, I leave the white balance normal. What I find a bit hectic sometimes, it's just not right, is the exposure, depending on what time of day it is. In the case of I'm in a shed and it's got fluorescent lights, that's okay. And I might want to, do the focus to infinity and just leave it there. But typically I'm not changing anything else. So then I could have my... well, actually what I also do on these ones too, I sometimes will specify the resolution here as well. No. Custom. Ooh, it does 2K. That's 1080 fine. So then I shrink this bad boy. And then I've got my track cam down there. And then the last thing I put in would be, a YouTube chat. How about a YouTube chat? Let's go grab the live chat of this stream right now. Oh wow, am I going to be... Or am I going to be crossing streams? Or, okay. I think it's best I don't. Okay. Pop out chat. So, what I want from this is basically the URL. Because there's a thing in OBS called a browser source. So this could be, the browser source is just any URL basically direct in there. The key with the browser source is that it's got to be publicly accessible. You can't really provide any credentials to log into anything. So it's got to be able to just have access. That looks pretty terrible. Also worth tweaking the... What is it? I don't know. You can tweak things in there. You can tweak the CSS and things like that as well. So that's me with a very basic pit view. Why is that camera frozen? And so you get things like that with this camera freezes. Problems. So you always get problems. Deactivate. Activate. You know, that's how you fix things on the fly. So how's that? Maybe I should start going to questions now. It's already an hour. I felt like I would have shown you something. I would have had much more stuff covered, I suppose, in terms of this OB. There's much more I could go into detail with here, but I probably want to let you guys start to drive it at this point. What I would do, like, in terms of things that I actually add to my scenes, I have a clock up here, but you can get the trackside clock there as well. I have a now playing thing, but that was like a little thing that I paid for that does that. I have like the event title, so I have text for the event title as well. Event title text. Oh, font is huge. And even though if I leave the font really small like that, let me just I think it's better to choose a larger font so that it looks smoother. I think if I scale this out, it's going to look pretty terrible. Yeah, see how gross. That's still oversized. So what I want to do now is transform, reset, transform. So things in terms of pro tip, right? If I have, say, in one case, I have like a clock that's normally up here in the top right. Top right there. And say I want to move it a bit, but I need to then move it in every single scene. I'll just move it in one where it looks perfect. Right? And then I can just go copy transform. Then I can click through all the other scenes and then just paste the transform on it, which means that it'll resize it and move it to the exact same consistent place, because it hurts my OCD if I click through all the scenes and I find that something's slightly moving by a pixel because it's only been done by eye. Things like that. In terms of the settings for streaming and OBS and stuff, I choose the advanced mode here. That's one thing that I did pretty early. And I think it's wise if you choose, if you have an onboard graphics card that's not if you have an additional actual graphics card in a gaming PC, use that to do your encoding. It's much better. Make sure your output is also correct. No, thank you. I like this at P1080. If I go 720 if I had poor bandwidth and I knew I probably couldn't maintain that, but I'd probably try and just scale it down anyway. In terms of the audio, you want to basically set your things here. Now, audio took me a while to get working right in terms of all the things there. It's easiest way to go about it is really just to take your webcam or your laptop cam and just have the ambient audio there of everyone. Then you have to worry about thinking about it too much. It doesn't sound great, but eventually, I added the USB mixer. But the difference is now you can't hear the ambient audio of people talking. And if I had a webcam of capturing that as well, it would then grab the audio and all music and all the things, and it would start to get a bit infinite loopy. So just keep it simple for the audio. What you want to definitely make sure is that your track side is coming in, is playing in there. So I want to see that let's just go and pick so the first thing I haven't done for the audio though, at least, is choose the default device, which in this case will be the PC speakers, right? That should now, I just shrink trackside. Oh, it's FYI as well, if you shrink the trackside window, it reflects that in OBS as well, right? And make sure the desktop audio volume mixer. Oh, I see. It's playing out the HDMI. And see, yeah, when you have multiple sound devices, let me tell you, this is an absolute nightmare for me. I tell you what, like, I'm not kidding. I remember even like when someone wants to come in and plug into my HDMI, yeah, the laptop can freeze and flicker, especially when you're at a place where they want your broadcast feed from somewhere else. For example, like a TV screen I once plugged into. It would start to mess up my audio things there. So what I typically do is I actually go into, just hide my video. I have to go into here quite often, and just to make it simple. See, this is it. Here, this is the. This is it. That's the trackside thing. There we go. Disable it. Okay. There you go. So it's very key to get the audio things right. Play with it first. Get it working like at home. Do a test stream before doing it. I mean, and by all means, like, send me a picture or something. Jump in the Discord or whatever. Have a chat. If you also ask any questions, jump in the trackside Discord if you want to ask me any verbal questions or walk through anything in particular. This is that time now, I suppose. I'll probably just do the RF Explorer part. I should do a few of the things from my tutorial pack. That's right, I haven't really done much for the tutorial pack yet. I extracted this somewhere. So, in the folder AHK scripts, I downloaded a program called Auto Hotkey. Why do I do that? I use it to run some scripts. Actually, before, like, the Stream Deck actually allowed me to do all that automation stuff, I actually had to use this to do it anyway. You just need this one. If you have a Stream Deck, you can use one of those to string everything together. But effectively, this is the one thing that I needed to at least switch to trackside. So what this does is this all it has is win activate, comma, and then trackside. So it's looking for, this is old, FPV trackside. Change that. What this does is it'll switch to the active window, which is just one of the steps that I need to do as a prerequisite before I hit start race or finish race in an automation flow. Yeah, that's the first file. That's what that does if you need that. So what you do is I put that as open this file as one of my steps in the Stream Deck workflow for start race. The OBS bits, I put these in here for a reason. It'd be a shame to not use them. I open something by accident and it's going to pop up soon. So, yeah, go away. So, say you wanted a pre-video, right? This is probably part of getting extra fancy. Media source. Pre-race video. Local file, yes it is. So, this is the pre-race video from the 2019 Australian Drone Nationals. Pretty fitting with the theme there. Now, I'll just turn it on to loop. Just for a second. Yes, restart playback, yes. Show nothing when playback ends. Yeah. Oh, that's new. That's amazing. That saves me having to green screen the last frame. That's new. OBS has updated and made my life easier without me even just realizing it. So, this is it here. If you notice there's a cyan like or a magenta. It's magenta. There is a thing there that I can green screen effectively. So when you have, if you want a green screen or do something tricky with the layer there, I've let it to loop just so I can tweak the values correctly. I'll turn it off loop when I'm done, but I right click and then go filters, which is down the bottom here. And then there's always effect filters. I don't use many of these. I use scrolling text maybe. There's one. Render delay, chroma key. You can do things like that. You can make something black and white if you want to. Apply LUTs, whatever. Chroma key. Green. Yeah, magenta. So then you just tweak it till like, because right now you can tell the front frame is like, there's no red in the logo. I've got to tweak it just to make it look. You drag the sliders basically. A combination of these two until you get it kind of right. You don't want to mess with the colours of any of your sponsor logos. It's verboten. Okay. Now, I'm getting sick of that loop. Hello, hello. No, properties. Turn off loop. Just stop. Cool, right? So, the idea is when I go pit scene, talking, hello, next race up, here we go, let's go race, click the race scene, there's a little pre-loop, boom, there you go. Cool, hey? Cool. That's the idea with that. So there's an example video. Edit it however you can, but you can use the magenta thing and the chroma key to make it look like it's, you know, semi-transparent. The CSS, I was going to see if anyone really wanted to see anything there. And logos. Okay, cool. You can make like the logos were purposeful to say image slideshow. You can have, say, sponsor logos. And then we can say image files, add a directory. Yeah, just add this whole directory. That's massive. Shrink that bad boy down there. So you can just dump pictures in that folder, right? So if I'm doing an event with X sponsors, I'll make sure that all their logos are in that folder and that they're just looping in one of the scenes there in the background. And the primary ones, you make sure they're part of that main video thing or something that's a bit more prominent. Alright, this doesn't really, it's not fully aligned. What you'd ideally like to do, I'd probably spend time making sure these are all just right, but I think it's time to do that right now. Let me just read the live stream chat. Christopher Rowe, the RF Explorer stuff would be nice. Okay, let's do the RF Explorer. Now, first step is to download RF Explorer for Windows. Wait. Before I get carried away, it's going to change the title here, just so that way someone can find this part. 5RF. Cool. The RF Explorer. Okay, this is effectively another window capture. What do I do? Shoot. I downloaded it. I think I already downloaded it. I did. I downloaded RF Explorer for Windows from their website. I'll now install it. And I will preemptively find the RF Explorer. So, I mean, it's one thing to get the RF Explorer in there, but there was a cool thing now. The cool thing is obviously having the coloured bars over the channels. Seems to be what everyone cares about. Okay, install. Next. Accept without reading. Next. Yeah, install. I'm just untangling my mini USB cable from the mess. This is the only thing that I need this size USB cable for. Which one is it? This one. Okay. Launch the program. Okay. I have run out of mice. I've run out of USB ports on this computer. Yeah, goodbye this webcam, whichever one this is. Not the one that you guys are watching me on, of course. RF Explorer, so we're doing that. If I'm doing Christopher Rowe's questions first, so if I've forgotten anyone else's earlier question, just paste it back in and ask me again. Alright, so. Mini USB. RF Explorer port. Pop it in. Hope it works. I heard the positive USB sounds. No, you're not. This software does suck a bit. I don't believe you. Check Task Manager for thing right. Okay. Okay, RF Explorer. Fine. Oh, this. What? Okay. Okay, that's new. I'm gonna... Did I already download an older version? Ugh. Okay, I don't like that. They've actually changed that to... Ugh. I did want to show that though. Do I persist with this? No, at thankyou.com. Yes, sir. Please, sir. 3 bags full. Small town. This is unfortunate. And this is unexpected. Let's see if I can get a license code. I'm going to persist with this. I could get an older version that I already have on a laptop that didn't ask me this nonsense. Oh, come on. Watch me foolishly paste this just in the YouTube chat. Don't know if I'll regret this. But that's the code I needed. That sucked. Get an older version of this software if you can. Here we are. God. Yeah. Good thing it's a Gmail. Oh dear. Wife must be online shopping inside. Okay, so can we all see this? That's what it looks like. What I'll effectively do in OBS now is grab a... Goodbye, webcam. I will grab another window capture of the RF Explorer. Right? Pretty simple. That's all that really is, in terms of how you get into OBS. You just move it down there. What we want to do is, I want to show you how to configure the, what do they call them? Radio standards. So I'll temporarily hide this title. Under View, you go Radio Standards, and you go Configure. And I'll put the time back on. Import from file. Now, I've lovingly given you all of them in the Livestream tutorial pack. Under RF Explorer, you've got all these files there. I think you have to import them one by one, which is balls, but yeah, you do. Right? And you want to choose what color it is. So, in terms of what the actual file is, that might be useful just to show you what it is if you wanted to like make your own for some other wonky channel you've got going on there. Send open with like Notepad or something. I believe the dashes are all comments, but what it just wants to know is the channel name, the channel, and then what you call it, and then the actual frequency number. I found one, and then I just, tweaked them. So, race band 1, yes, let's import the next one. 2, I'll just do the first 4. And then you choose the colour. Yep, blue, red, yellow, green. Now I like the rounded rectangle myself, and you just tick them. Strangely, I tick, select, tick. It's like literally double click for all these. And there you go. You now have bars over where those frequencies are. And then what I just do is I just scale or shuffle once they've powered on to sort of move it up there. I just hit the top 5, -5 dB. And similarly, if you want to make sure that you've got the right range, what are you going, 56, 58, 5600 to 5950. Try and send that as the range. And that way it's going to cover all up to, all of the race band values up there if you add those in. Cool. Does that satisfy your question, Christopher? Free license. That's for RF Explorer. I mean, you have to have bought this stupid thing in the first place. I don't even know why they're asking for it now. So that's the RF Explorer part. Is the key per... going back. Is the key per stream or per channel? I can use the same key... The key can be the same. It's per channel, I guess. It's per channel. But I can have multiple... I can set up different events and have different settings in YouTube, and I'll have a different stream key for each of those. But you can basically just have one and keep reusing it. And what's really fun is when you go in there, you start streaming, and I have to hit start, and then I have to end. And it used to just go live as soon as I hit live, but now there's sort of a bit of a scheduling thing in the YouTube side there. Missing other questions. If they don't have USB bandwidth, it's because they're dumb. That's Dan. Is there a way of ordering the PB times from slowest to fastest or fastest to slowest? Yes, there would be, I believe. If not, Dan will happily add that in to the software in Trackside. That would be covered by going into PBs. Oh no, you can. You just literally click whole shot or time. Sorry, so it's a question for props out of FPV. You literally just click the title there and it'll sort. But because I've got no good data in there, it's not going to sort very well. I can export that video with a channel and get rid of the chroma key. I probably could do that with an alpha channel too, but that's just not the way. I worked it out a different way. How do we apply music in the background of OBS and also something that isn't copyrighted? Not copyrighted is hard, but you can do what Dan says about the audio library and play music in the background. I have a pretty extensive playlist that a friend and I have been putting together. How big is it? Oh, this one's actually out of date. Quite a while. 3 days. But this music gets me caught on YouTube. And on Facebook, it doesn't like some of the artists and it blocks the stream anyway. So, look, even I haven't got the true answer for that. Full royalty-free music would be the best. If you can make your own, that's even better. Do these markers have to stay in the software? Yes, Chris, they do. They do stay in the software. If I close this. RF Explorer. I'm not updating that firmware. So, yeah, they stay there. Oh, and you get the little waterfall thing down there. I don't actually use that. I don't even like it anymore. Also, too, if you are doing a race, this is something that Scully taught me. You can actually show the max peak, and it'll point out where the actual peaks are. But you can tick these things up here to change the view. I just leave those on there. And there's also a... I'll stop the music. But yeah, playing the music, just you can have music locally. I think you can try and Spotify something that's really obscure. You can try some royalty free from YouTube. I find it easy just to play locally on the computer though. As a preference for me. Now I was just going to show you that. Oh, the RF Explorer. There's a no OpenGL one, which is like the Sans waterfall thing, which is probably better because you don't really care to show the waterfall, and that just makes that view just bigger here, see? So I use the open, the non-open, I run this one. No OpenGL version. You get two. The other one just has the waterfall there. Okay, is there a way to be able to display the round and race number on a screen to put in front of the start line, like a show grid girl at motorbike race? Ooh. Ooh, that's a good one. No. What you see in trackside though is like you see that you can see each race's round up here. I need to rely on the timing software for this. You're basically referring to this round up here, the race and round that it would show you. If only the timing software would know about what race and round it's really up to in there, I would have to use that and pull something out. If you wanted to sort of show that in a preemptive thing, there's a feature of Trackside that does allow all the data in there to be pumped out to a local web page. So you could then do a browser. I was actually turning that feature on. I'm just showing the general settings while this fake race is running. Lots of settings in here. I could go through these. That's for live replay recording. Pretty cool. I've tested that at 480 quite successfully. But if you crank it up, I think it might eat your CPU. So be mindful of your laptop thing there. Okay, live chat. Yeah, I can show the live chat, and then you can give it the URL. So I can put the YouTube URL of this live chat in there instead. But where I was getting to is the HTTP server. I don't know if where's that? Oh, there it is. Web. You can enable that, and then that will turn on the local web server on port 8080, I think, on this computer. And then you can then get that as a browser source of the race data. So we could probably do something really hacky with that, and tweak that. If you want to see what that looks like, let's go. Localhost 8080. Is that the right URL, Dan? Forget what the URL is. Dan might be able to remind me. He may not be watching now. No, he must have wandered off. Maybe it's 8,000. That might be in the manual. I'm going to read the manual. Web. Web server for OBS. Yeah, localhost 8080. Oh. Hang on, Trackside, what are you doing? Oh, I see. Let me just bring that back up. So now that hopefully will load. There we go. Okay. So if you enable the web server there, you can see all the individual lap reads. This is actually the raw data from Trackside being pumped out to a local web server. So yeah, you could do something with that. We could grab this, for example. Let me just see. Let's go into OBS. Browser, Trackside web. And then I need to custom the CSS with it. But yeah, you can see I could get that text in there. Oh, I can even do stop race. And if I'm sure Dan can probably put in something sexier later, but that'd be one way I could do it now, given the current circumstances, off the top of my head. Oh, URLs in the hamburger menu must be a file. No, I sorted it out. Any other questions? Oh, I had to do it with the LED matrix with an Arduino, something to run over Wi-Fi. Yeah, so there's a cool new thing in there. I haven't got to run this successfully yet, but in Trackside as well, there is. We can enable. If you have a Raspberry Pi, I think is what we're using. There is a lead server URL. This is still getting a bit. This is pretty beta / alpha, but I think a bit more will come in the manual for this later. What you can put in there is a URL of an Arduino. I think it's an Arduino or a Pi. I forget what we're using. I didn't make it. I'm just adding it in. It's something that controls we basically have an RGB gate, like the start-finish gate, and we can pop that into it, and that would control from trackside, giving it certain values to then basically make the start-finish gate light up green when the race is ready, or red when the race is over, or things like that, or change the colours based upon the race conditions, and stuff like that. So that is probably, I can't really go into much detail about that yet because I don't really know how that works. We haven't used it yet, but it has been working for a few people so far. But that's sort of, we're getting into extra cool stuff that you won't be able to do with other timing softwares. And also down here as well, this is when you get into the customizations of thing a bit. I've unticked 3. Why did I do that? Oh, that's when I had 3. This allows a grid layout of 3, and what I did is I unticked that so that way when I went down to 3 parts, it wasn't going to go. Let me show you. Cover race. I kill off 5 parts. So when you have one missing, you get the personal best time. Then it fills the screen with 6. When I remove one more, I end up with this. I remove one more, I get down to 2 by 2, and I think when I untick 3 because that's right for 3. Oh, maybe not. What I wanted was I just wanted 1, 2, 3 because 3 would still fit horizontally. I think I wanted to use the bottom half for something else. But you can tweak settings like that in there, and I can turn off things like that. Blank area for overlays will just push. I think it just pushes some stuff across. Yeah, it pushes everything in, so that way I've got some yellow space there to put what music is playing now. But you can also enable and disable the items in the top bar if you don't want all the data there and you want to keep it simpler. So obviously it makes sense to at least have the event name and probably the lap info and stuff like that. But maybe you don't want the clock, and maybe you don't want the race time. Maybe you only want the remaining time. Right. Cool. Any other questions? This has been going an hour and a half, and I think I'm getting pretty tired. Now I might have to do a round 2 later for maybe some advanced questions. The last thing I'll do, just as a little token piecemeal thing, I'm sure the lifetime chronos will probably want to see this, will be the OBS overlays for that. I'll just quickly show that. Title, properties. 6. Lifetime CSS. So, I went back at the beginning there, I was telling you how I would make a race scene for making a race scene would be different for trackside versus lifetime. So what I want to do here is just have my DVR Alright, if I was making a scene for lifetime, I need to do that. And then I need to go and get a URL. Right. Here's what I prepared earlier, because it took me ages to remember how to even set up lifetime, and it was really hard because I had to assign camera numbers and all that sort of stuff. So all I'm doing to do is just show you this part here. This is the part that people struggle with. Most people can work out how to use the software. What you need is a URL. There is a CG and a CG2. I'll just hide this bit. There's a CG2 as well. Oh, 3? There's no 3. Oh, there is a 3. They haven't released this yet. I typoed that. But that doesn't look normal. How do I go back? 2. I want to... There is CG3 and CG2, right? So, don't use this one. I mean, you can, but you see how it says waiting for stream to start? This won't go away. This will block everything, and it won't go away unless you are making sure that you are streaming to livefpv.com. Now, you could use like a restreaming service to then still get it to YouTube and stuff, but that's also technically not in their terms of license, and they may not like that. But the CG one, if you get rid of the 2 here, this is OG and simple. This works. In fact, I kind of like this better after I started tweaking with it. Now, all these values, all these things here can be tweaked with CSS, as well as moving stuff around. But what I do is I'll take this URL. I didn't want to click that again. And now we're going to add a browser source. Live FPV overlay. Because this has to be... So what we're actually doing with this is we've got a URL of the race data, and that's just like a PNG from a website overlaid onto the raw DVR that would otherwise have. Yeah? So that's how that looks, as is. Now, let's just lock that for a second. So what I do now, like they're 2 independent things, right? Like here's my DVR behind it. I've actually got to shrink it, you know, to yeah. There you go, right? But you won't see that. So the only way for you to follow who's first is by you looking at these large numbers here. So Babo Boy and first, etc. And those numbers will change. So all you can see, the only thing that will change there is the time and the laps and things like that of the race, and that's otherwise all fixed. So if you want to start tweaking this stuff to make it look a bit personal, right? You've got to go into the properties, and you can start putting CSS in here. Now, no one's really given out this sort of stuff before, so it took me ages of tweaking with it to actually get these things, but I don't care, I'm not going to use them anymore. I've moved on in life, so I'm happy to give them away to you all. Now, just as a bit of a thing, I've included these in the OBS bits pack, right? So here's a text file, and I've tried to even like name some of these things, and I've done certain things. I don't know. I've just the way I've done this, worked these out, is purely trial and error. Like having a text file and then like editing it and then pasting it in there and then looking at it and going, oh, it doesn't look right, and then tweaking numbers. So I haven't got a good way of doing this. I've only got bad ways, and they all have. I have. What does Live FPV do? Says Travis Hunt. Live FPV is another timing software that some clubs in Australia use and most of the US would use. Scott Tomlinson, no DJI. Effectively, the DJI thing, I would just add 1 channel into that. You can see how I do that on my next race day. Anyway, we've started to accommodate one lovely pilot in that group there. So it's not that too much different though. You just add the DJI channel to thingy, and there's no way of you getting the video in there. No way at all. I have my hacky idea that I have thinking about, just to quickly divert back to the DJI thing, is that my this is an 8-channel DVR here, but I have a 16-channel one there, and you can see that in my raw, I can see I got an empty. See this? That could be the 9th camera. So I thought to myself, I could plug in a hardwired fixed camera in there, and I could borrow a spectator set of goggles, and then like, you know, Bardwell style GoPro in the Fat Shark goggle, like get some really crummy video in there that way. Because at least Trackside natively started to use that particular region of the DVR, so if I can convert it down to analog and get it in there somehow, that would be a way. But I haven't really had the time to work that out yet. But back to this point here. We have to shrink this. Let's start customizing the CSS. Alright, paste this crap in. Just take my text file, just paste it in. Doesn't look really any different, does it? I know why. Okay, so just for note, the MGP star mark file is for a CG2 layout, which I'm not using here. I think this will work if I do this, and this might work then. But all I did in this one there was I sort of tweaked the reds to be the multi-GP colour, and I blanked out this area and sort of squished it in so I could stick the star mark logo here, so I could put like a sponsor logo in this region. That's all I did. And some accounts don't have this pop-up there, but most accounts do by default. So this is part of the voodoo. But back to the main thing. So this is I'll show you the sexiest layout I ever got, and that's my Synthwave one for 6 pilots. also make sure I remove the 2. So, let's go back to my text files. This is the one you want, boys. The 6-part one. The 8-part one, I loaded up again. It's all I'll show you. It's all kinds of screwed up. It worked really good when I used it like over a year ago, but I'm not going back there. I'm not going to fix this. But I just show what I mean. Like, it looks messed up because I have this. Oh, not there. Paste this. Oh no, it's gonna be 3 by. Make sure the URL reflects the one that you're actually setting up. 3 by 3 if you want 8 pilots. Look at that, it's all over the place. I have to go to the CSS and start tweaking those boxes again and moving around. Horrible, horrible. But in here though, at least I can show you that I've put in comments, at least in terms of where I think things are. I like to try and move stuff around. Driver position, line 1. And so getting a 3 by 3 like this, or getting an 8-player race in this sort of format, I actually had to then take the DVR layer several times because I needed to have 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to have channels 1, 2, 3, this one on the end there. So then I basically had to have this DVR layer pasted and copied 4 times, then cropped to rearrange those windows manually. Way too hard, just too hard. So my advice is stick with 3 by 2. Take this lovely, colourful CSS that I have here. It's a thing of beauty. I made it all synth wavy, purple bits, pink bits, orange bits, yellow bits. There we go. And now what you gotta do is, so also too, in case you didn't notice, this DVR here, each of these windows are actually squished. Like, that's not the actual 4x3. The DVR actually does that. So you've actually got to, stretch this out to like fit. So I'll do that roughly by eye and go, okay, look, I've got to keep going. Move down. But if you want, I've actually done the research for you. If you want to know the exact numbers, 120, 1920. And this number here is 14 something. It's because each video window is meant to be 640 by 480, right? So if I get out the old trusty calculator, 480 times 2 is 960. Where am I going with this? Oh, plus a third, plus 480. 1440. That's how big it actually needs to be stretched by. There you go. Perfectly sized. 120 pixels down from the top, 1920 by 1440. And that way each window is now stretched as proper 4x3 resolution. Look at that. That's as sexy as you're going to see for a live FPV stream. But I think translate. Okay, that was the last element I was going to cover for the stream. The lifetime CSS. I think I'm going to end it here unless there's no other questions. I'll just go to the chat. They opened up the API. The only keeps me with Lifetime is the only timing software has the access to the multi-chip API. Yeah, that may change in the future. Lifetime is just terrible when you miss the lap. There are better solutions for... Yes, okay. Too bad I haven't heard of your software so far. Gonna dive into it soon, as I'm done with my HUD. It looks pretty nice so far. Cool. Looks like everyone's pretty happy, and everyone's going to bed. So I think that may be it, really. My head still feels like there's heaps of things that I probably could have missed. Are those DVR boxes readily available? Let me see. I mean, the one I started with, like, it was called like a Flareon DVR. Yeah, you can still get them, but the thing is, you make sure they're analog. You've got to make sure they're analog. Oh man, maybe they're all gone. I don't know. Hunt. They're hen's teeth, really. That's why I have two of them. I have an 8-channel here, which is my one, and the club one has a 16 one there, which is basically the same thing. When I went to buy the 16, I tried to get an 8. They were starting to sell it everywhere. It looks like a discontinued item. Obviously, all security camera DVRs are now digital, so this is kind of a dying thing. And in terms of other methods other than the DVR, I don't think there really is anything. I know people have done something really clever with, like, at least using goggle modules as each individual receiver and then powering them and using Ethernet cables to bring that in. I think it still has to go into a DVR. I don't know if anyone's come up with a bit more of a bespoke product. Support for PAL intimacy conversion. Yeah, the Clearviews I have set to auto, so they negotiate, but between races, right, sometimes it doesn't switch back. So I have this cool thing. Now, I didn't make the DVR. All credit is going to go to fellow CMRC club founder Spark. He meticulously built this thing, right? So this is probably back more to the... Let me just pause for a sec. Just got to change the title. Part 7, Random Questions. Random bits and pieces. Little things, little hacky things, right? So, where did I put that camera? So, just so you know, like, this entire DVR is all powered off this one power brick, right? But we've got an old, like, school quadcopter, like, PDB in there, right? And that way I've just got these little banana plugs, and, you know, and just solder them onto there. And that goes down into the depths. So then, yeah, it's all kind of comes down into there, right, with an XT60 plug. We've drilled a hole in the back, so that way there's a tiny little short HDMI cable that goes to the back, and then there's a tiny little garage remote thing down there, right? Because the Clearviews sometimes don't like to renegotiate, right? We've got this there that'll do a nice little reboot of all the Clearviews in one go. I'll do it again. Oh no, this is I could. There we go. Reboot them, no video. You see the little boot up screen. Away you go. Not without its problems though. Sometimes someone's flicked it they've pressed it too quickly or something, and one of these Clearviews just completely loses its channels. It's mid-race and suboptimal. Amazon still has analog DVR, says Dan, so get them out, buy them up. And it will create so much demand that it's really back in production. Let's see, credit from Baker. Yeah, J-Car, I bought both of these from J-Car. And credit to Red and Dan for actually finding the 8126 that we think is the promo code. But let's start off the 301, it was okay. I think the shitty problems you had will show you. I can actually do this actually. I think you had to do with DVR at first. When you first get to DVR, you've got to go in there with the mouse and you've got to turn off all this shit. There's way more stuff on there. The little bell is the least I could get there. But you got to go there back to you can see on camera 9 there's all this text and stuff. You got to go in there and turn it off. And I had a great deal of hassle with the cheaper ones that it would only work at 720p or something, and it wouldn't keep the output at 1080. And then you find that the crappy ones, they'll go blue really early and drop video versus showing the static signal. And also the playback can actually look really slow in the computer as well. So, look, I'm aware. I mean, a cheap DVR is a cheap DVR, but it's pretty hard to be engaged in a stream where it looks like it's playing 5 frames a second. Just a bit of advice there, but I mean, $60. I think these ones cost me like $200 or something each. Oh, and yes, last thing I haven't told you about, well, that's even good, is the final things of the final things in the tutorial pack that I included, that I probably didn't include to do anything with. Alright, I did that. Oh, the soundboard! Soundboard. Last thing there is a soundboard. I gathered these, and this soundboard goes back to 2017 mats. I kind of ran that one pretty solid in terms of the racing and stuff, but we didn't even have an 8-way
audio's broken.
I don't get it.
Something's very wrong.
Hello? Oh, is that better? Okay, that explains it. I'm talking to this camera. Anyway, the soundboard I put together for the 2017 Nats because we really didn't have much of a timing software thing, and I had a touchscreen laptop there, and I used a little jingle palette mixer. I think I even include the software in there. No, I don't. But these are all still sound effects there, like my eyes, the goggles do nothing. Put them on your Stream Deck. I haven't changed the Stream Deck.
That's fixed it.
Thank you, Dan. Add window capture. Title. Part 8. This is the final part now. I'm actually getting really tired. Okay, so the Stream Deck, everyone. Oh, I leave that full screen. Is that really what it looks like? Okay, no, it is that big. Okay, so the Stream Deck. Let me just expand that, make it maybe. Yeah, okay, that's better. So the Stream Deck. I like it to be simple for someone else to sit down and run a race for me, right? So there's a lot of built-in things here on the side, like see the OBS Studio parts. Like I don't use anything here. Oh yeah, I use this part. I don't use the Stream Deck thing. I mean, there's probably way more you can do on this that I've not even like started to explore yet. I'm just gonna hide all this crap. So effectively, what I use this button most of the time just for switching scenes. So this is what this is just changing the scenes. You pick which scene you're using. So I've got one for a whoop race, I got one for my outdoor race, and I had one for Thunderdome, for example, which has completely different like OBS scenes. So you tell which one you're working with there, and you can even have presets. So I had one for Thunderdome, I have one for one laptop, I have one for two laptops, which slightly changes some of the buttons there. So basically most of the change me between different scenes. I got this little clear little 15 button little pad there that I am just pressing buttons. Hear the soundboard, so I can press this for that quad damage sound effect. Does it make me play it? No. And then this one here, toggle cam. So this is another thing. This is another auto hotkey script, which basically just switches to OBS. But you can obviously have like one camera layer on another, and you can hide. This thing here just presses a hotkey, which is then linked to OBS, which then hides a layer. So you could have like a webcam on top of a webcam. Like, so that's how I toggle between my camera view and the pit view. I have one on top of the other, and I just hide the one that's on top as a layer in OBS. And this is just a soundboard. This is just the thing that mutes the music. Mutes the music there. It's just a keyboard shortcut that I linked to the thing there. More settings. You have sub-menus, so here's all the other sound effects in there. And it took me, I actually bothered to go on the internet and make these icons for it as well. That was just so it made it very obvious what they were, as opposed to just trying to write text. But anyway, the clever ones, the only clever ones here is the start race, which has 10 actions there. So I will close if I have that running in the background from replays. I tell OBS to start recording a local file. There's a delay. Switch to this scene, the track cam. Delay. Switch to track side and start the race. Another delay. You fiddle these and work it out, and then switch back to track side and then run the race. And then similarly for the other one, go back. So similarly for finish race, it does the same thing. Like ends the race in track side by pressing spacebar. Gets the result in my clipboard if I want to. Stops recording in OBS and then switches back to the pit view at the end too somewhere, which is copied somewhere. But yeah, you can get all sorts of crazy stuff in there. It all gets very hectic. But yes. Okay, I think that's me done. I'm very tired. Yes, the mic was by the computer fan. That was why. Oh dear. Okay, I see there was about 4 minutes of that audio. Anyway, that's it really. That's finished. Thank you everyone. I might have to come back for a follow-up one later maybe, but I think if you make any streams or do anything, please like post them, link them to me. I want to see them. I want to see what you guys make. just because I love watching them as well, for getting inspiration myself in what to tweak in the future. And yeah, I'd like to see what you guys come up with. I want to be impressed and wowed by the things you create. Alright, this took 2 hours. I thought it was going to be 1 hour. Big mistake on my part. Anyway, good night everyone. Thanks for tuning in. See you at the next race, which for me is Saturday next week. That's going to be a big race. Biggest race in Australia maybe of 2020. Just throwing it out there. Could be. Alright, good night.